Wow. 2024 is going to be an amazing year for Apple.
Are you gonna switch the regular iPhones to ProMotion or not?
In an era of spatial computing, you can have iPad apps as big as the walls of your home.
Can you just answer the frickin' question, Tim? iPhone 16, is it getting ProMotion?
Oh, of course not. But the amazing and incredible Apple Vision Pro can go up to 100 hertz, maybe more.
Tim, that's $3,500. You can't even get it to 120 hertz?
Who's to say? Who really needs to go that high? I mean, it dynamically changes based on what you're doing.
Aren't you looking through it at all times? Therefore, it should be the most lifelike with the highest refresh rate?
Wow. If that's gonna be your attitude, then I'm not talking to you anymore, okay? You will never be on my nice list. Good morning.
I knew it. Let's begin.
Wow.
2024, Apple should be hitting the ground running with the launch of Apple Vision Pro within the first quarter, and I think the general consensus from the tech YouTubers and the media is going to be, this is the most incredible augmented reality headset ever. Nothing comes close to it. The resolution, the refresh rate, the ease of setting it up, the software, it's just so smart, it's so intuitive, no one can touch it, and then at the same time, everyone's also gonna say, but you probably shouldn't buy it, it's not worth $3,500, it's just really cool and impressive technology. And you should go check one out in an Apple store, but no, it's definitely not worth the money. Everybody's witnessed Apple products launch in the past, and they know that the first generation is usually not very good, and it finds its stride along the way. So people are going to be inspired and interested in the idea of spatial computing, but I doubt very many people are actually going to buy the first generation headset. And at the spring event, it will likely launch alongside some larger size iPads, maybe some new colors for iPhones, but a hot topic that we didn't get to talk about in our last video is the iPhone SE4. Unfortunately, most of the recent reports are claiming that that's not going to be ready until 2025, which is just way too long for me, especially if we're supposed to be all USB-C on everything for the European Union by the end of 2024. Come on, Apple, we shouldn't have to wait that long. Fingers crossed that Apple has a wild card plan and they're going to drop the SE sooner than we all think, but at least according to the rumors, it's not looking too good for a new iPhone SE in 2024. Even though we got a new SE back in 2022, and the one before that was 2020, you know, if we want to keep things consistent, Apple, it should be 2 years apart, but whatever. I guess we'll all just have to put up with that home button and lightning port again. Now moving on to later parts of the year, like at Dub, we should of course get a huge suite of new upgrades between iOS 18, watchOS 11, macOS Weed, whatever they end up calling it, and this new, like, experimental operating system that Apple's been working on that's very limited in its capability, but hopefully with time they could install a little bit more functionality into it. It's called iPadOS, but I'm guessing the star of the show at Dub next year is probably going to be visionOS 2.0 because they're going to see all of the flaws and limitations in the first generation of visionOS. And simultaneously, within the first half of next year, we should officially get RCS support on Apple's iOS. I never thought that was going to happen, especially after Tim Cook was going off telling people to buy their mom's iPhones and all that. But no, it's announced, and it's definitely happening, and it will probably be one of the final nails in the coffin for Beeper. But yeah, finally texting Android users with your iPhone should be a lot easier. Still getting typing indicators, read receipts, delivered receipts, and higher quality media. Not gonna have as many features as iMessage has for sure, but a lot of the most basic texting fundamentals should finally be fixed if you're texting an Android user for some reason. And also, I'm anticipating by halfway through 2024, Apple will have the first generation OLED iPad Pros ready. So that's going to be a pretty substantial resolution bump for the iPad for the first time in years. We might even, thanks to that new OLED pixel rearrangement, see the displays of the iPad go above 3K. Maybe they'll even boast about it. This is the first iPad with a 4K display, and it still has great brightness and great refresh rates. And alongside that, there will be a far more boring upgrade with the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Airs. Probably just getting M3 chips and they call it a day. I don't think the OLED MacBooks are going to be quite ready yet. But here's hoping in 2024 they finally discontinue the M1 MacBook Air, which is over 3 years old and still being sold at $1,000. It's not a bad laptop by any means. I just wouldn't recommend anybody buy it brand new. You can find those things for so cheap through Best Buy and Amazon for like $250, $300 cheaper. It's a great machine if you want something with good battery life and good performance and not a bunch of bells and whistles. Just don't buy it for $1,000 brand new. Apple should not have that option anymore. So 2024 should finally mark the death of the wedge design MacBook Air. But on the subject of Apple Silicon, I also don't think Apple is going to introduce the M4 chip at any point in 2024. Some of you may disagree with me, but I think because they dropped kind of the whole M3 family, other than M3 Ultra, with the updated 3nm architecture at the very end of 2023, I think there's a decent likelihood that's going to carry them throughout 2024. And if there's any attention given to the Mac lineup, I don't think the MacBook Pros need much attention. I don't think they need faster chips. TSMC is already manufacturing the fastest possible Apple Silicon they can, and I don't think they're going to have anything much better within 2024. But if the Mac lineup did need some kind of attention, I would suggest Apple put some work into your external monitors, okay? Because the Pro Display XDR hasn't been updated since 2019. That thing's going to be turning 5 years old in 2024, and it should, if anything, get a price cut because it's just a little outrageous and it has less local dimming zones than an $800 iPad. It's just kind of dated technology. It was trying to be mini LED before mini LED was a thing, and of course, a lot of people come to expect ProMotion on their expensive Macs now. If you gotta do an iMac Pro with a high refresh rate display, then sure, go all in. At least we'll have something better than that white-bezeled, atrocious joke that is the M3 iMac, still shipping with Lightning accessories. I think 2024 should be the year of Apple focusing more on Mac accessories, like the external displays, like the Magic Keyboard, the Magic Mouse, that kind of thing. I don't think they need to focus too much on new models other than, of course, the routine refresh with new silicon. It's hard to get excited for that anymore because we just kind of know what to expect. Yes, the Mac Mini, maybe later in 2024, can just get an M3 chip and an M3 Pro chip, and the Mac Studio should probably get an M3 Max, plus the yet-to-be-announced M3 Ultra, but we all know how that's gonna go. We took 2 M3 Max chips and I bring them together, and that makes it fast. Except they'll find a way to explain that over the course of 20 minutes. It'll be expensive, but it'll be amazing. We'll get new heights for unified memory, but what better way to unveil the M3 Ultra than with a newly refreshed Pro Display XDR with ProMotion of some kind, and also maybe some price cuts / adjustments to the Studio Display XDR, like improve the webcam on that thing or just drop it entirely, since everybody's probably using continuity camera on their iPhones. Come on, how many Android people are really buying the Studio Display? Let's be honest with ourselves. Do we need a built-in webcam on that thing? I don't know. It's a great monitor, just it shouldn't cost $1,600, Apple. Let's get real. Now moving onward into the fall of 2024, of course, iPhone season. We should expect a refresh across the entire iPhone 16 lineup. And I guess the big headlining feature with the iPhone 16 series is this will be the biggest the iPhone has ever been, period. Like, there has never been an iPhone with a 6.9-inch display before, and yet that's kind of what's rumored for the 16 Pro Max. Still not entirely sure if they're going Ultra at this point. I'm gonna guess no, just because I was expecting a 15 Ultra in 2023, and we didn't get that. But yeah, the Pros are supposed to be huge. 6.9 inches for the Pro Max, and 6.3 inches for the regular Pro. Both of them are getting the upgraded Tetra Prism telephoto lens, so as of right now, you have to get the 15 Pro Max to get a 5x optical zoom, whereas it'll come to the smaller iPhone Pro next year, except the smaller Pro is now bigger, so is it a win in the end? That'll be for you to decide. And Apple will continue to disappoint the tech community with the entry-level iPhone 16s, which don't sound to be too different. They're pretty much just going to be the same size as the 15 lineup. They're going to be 6.1 inches and 6.7 inches, and I hate to say it, but yeah, probably still 60 hertz. Probably still the same old dynamic island across the lineup. I don't think they're going to be ready to start putting Face ID sensors underneath the display until 2025. You gotta take your precious time with Apple because their supply chain is a lot slower than the smaller Android companies that only have to build a couple million units a year. Apple has to build a couple dozen million within the span of a few months because they've got demand like no other. But I'm hoping here that with the regular iPhone 16s, we could get a few spec bumps. Of course, the A17 chip in those models and USB 3.0 speeds would be nice. I also think there's a decent likelihood that the entry-level iPhones will probably get the action button. That seems like the kind of thing Apple's not quite branding as a Pro feature just yet, but they will compensate for it on the Pros by giving them yet another button, which is starting to seem a little bit redundant to me. But yeah, there's rumors that the iPhone 16 Pros, both sizes, are supposed to get like capture buttons. So there will be a dedicated button on the side just for activating the camera, but that will be separate from your action button, which can still be remapped to do something else, whatever your heart desires. And of course, we'll probably get the A18 Pro chip on the 16 Pros. Try not to get confused with all of these numbers, but still gonna be a 3nm architecture, and I'm sure there will probably be some efficiency advantages, some performance gains, but likely nothing too major with the silicon. Maybe they'll find a way to put fully spec'd Thunderbolt on the 16 Pros next year, and maybe some way to take advantage of that with like a Apple Dex, but I'm not trying to get my hopes up for that because it didn't happen with the 15 series. There's a good chance it won't happen with the 16 series either. But if you're refreshing the external monitors, then it would be a good time to switch to Thunderbolt to take advantage of the external monitor support on the iPhones. Come on, Apple. These are free ideas. You can just take them. The other thing I hope to see alongside the launch of the iPhone 16 series would be a Type-C supported version of AirPods Max. That thing is screaming for an update. Like, it really needs to be brought up to speed with the AirPods Pro, which have newer silicon, new features, and it costs less. Plus, AirPods Pro have USB-C already, so AirPods Max just feel incredibly dated as is. If there's some way they can build like the H2 chip into the iPhone 16 series, then theoretically there should be a way for them to unveil the new AirPods Max alongside the new iPhone 16 and say these support wireless lossless playback thanks to Apple Music and the power of Apple Silicon. The same way Apple Vision Pro is able to support lossless playback with AirPods Pro, but only if you have the USB-C case, because those happen to have the slightly updated H2 chip. Put those same chips that you put in Vision Pro in the iPhone, and boom, you would suddenly lock in a bunch of Apple Music customers, because they'd be like, I can't get my lossless playback on Spotify wirelessly. If you care about your services revenue, Apple, you'll do it. You know what it's good for you. Simultaneously, if the import ban on the Apple Watch ever gets addressed, there's rumors that the Apple Watch Series 10 is actually supposed to be the first Apple Watch that radically gets redesigned in some way, and the watch bands no longer connect. So all of those amazing watch band collections you guys have stockpiled will suddenly be useless e-waste, and Octavia Spencer will stare at you in judgment because you're gonna have to buy all new watch bands for the Series 10, but that's pretty much all that's been rumored about it. Apple's probably hesitant to implement any kind of health sensors at this point because they're likely gonna be infringing on somebody's patents, right? So maybe they're gonna cool it on the health developments for a while and just focus on how do we redesign the Apple Watch, make it more space efficient, and if anything, my hope is boost the battery life a little bit. That would be great because it feels like Apple Watch battery technology hasn't changed much over the years until the Ultra came out, but all that really did was just make the whole watch thicker. Maybe they could find a way to increase the battery size if they were able to design the watch band connections a little bit differently and do something we've been asking since the beginning with the Apple Watch way back in 2014. Maybe if you're redesigning the watch band connection from the ground up, design it to be a bit more smart. Put some pins on there, let you mount external accessories to the Apple Watch that serve different functions so that watch bands are not just fashion statements, but also accessories that unlock new capabilities with your watch. Maybe this is how Apple makes peace with Massimo, right? There's no more blood oxygen level checker in the Apple Watch. You have to buy the Massimo Apple Watch band, and you put that band on, and now you can check your blood oxygen levels. Or maybe you just get a smart battery band that allows you to extend the battery life of your Apple Watch, assuming they can share power and a little bit of data between the watch band connectors. If you're gonna redesign it, you might as well make it worth your while. If it's not really adding anything functionally and it just has to connect differently, I don't know. The EU might get a little bit upset with you, Apple. I would like to say that, well, they'll probably have an adapter so you can use your older watch bands, but this is Apple. They didn't even include a Lightning to Type-C adapter on the iPhone, so it's probably not gonna happen. But I'm way ahead of you guys because I already sold my Apple Watch, got rid of all my watch bands. I'm prepared for the next generation, but I'll probably not buy it anyway. And that pretty much concludes everything that I think will be noteworthy of the 2024 Apple lineup. I think it's probably way too soon to refresh regular AirPods as well as AirPods Pro. Those are the kinds of things that don't get refreshed annually. Hopefully at some point we get a refreshed iPad mini, but I know the top requested feature for the iPad mini is ProMotion, and it feels like Apple is just very comfortable leaving that as a Pro feature. So if the iPad mini does get refreshed, it's probably just going to be a chip upgrade. It probably won't be promotion. Here's hoping they also kill off the iPad 9 in 2024, kill off the Apple Pencil 1. That thing has overstayed its welcome. It's been on the website for 8 freaking years. That's way too long. The stupid cap and how you charge it and everything. We should be long past this thing, right? Why is that still on the website? So what do you guys think Apple's gonna kill off in 2024, and what do you think they'll introduce? Will MagSafe Duo or the MagSafe battery pack ever make a comeback? All that stuff, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos, and thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.